We were
the environment was cleaned up.
the first time I was hearing about this stuff. Wow. It was totally new to me.
And there with social impact consulting.
One was a year of consciousness. So with that consciousness, we are going to see more action, more civic activism.
If you look at the rights and freedom of citizens to express themselves freely, that is deteriorating.
One of the major threats to the civic space in 2022 remains government, repressive governments and governmental action.
Advocacy is for a purpose to influence social change in a positive direction.
Civil society represents the third sector, if you may, and it's inclusive of the media, NGOs, thought leaders, and people who just have a say in how a country, a people, or a place is run.
At the core of the work that we do is a strong belief that to really address educational inequity and inequality requires us really building a critical mass of dynamic, passionate, committed leaders who will dedicate themselves to addressing different issues within the educational sector and the educational space.
Young people need to get into the government and then be able to push for issues that affect them, because you can't keep staying out and then thinking that things will work in for your own good. So you need to be able to prepare yourself.
Civil society represents a community of engaged individuals who work with us to build consensus around progressive policies and to give citizens a voice in governance.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Development Sector Series, which is Dev Sector Series. Please just let me know where you're watching from. Ensure you like and share this video. Those of you who are watching on the various platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to my channel. If you're not on YouTube, watching it from YouTube, go to www.youtube.com/social impact consulting and subscribe. We are almost at 2,000 subscribers, which is some exciting stuff. So just continue to do that and be notified so that you can know when we are going to be coming on again. Okay, so platforms like LinkedIn don't let you chat from the streaming platform itself. So if you put in your message, I can respond to you afterwards. But if you do have a question for our guest, your question will definitely show up on the streaming platform and it will show on the page. Okay, so I am very, very excited about what we're doing, what is upcoming. As you saw in the intro video, we have two pieces of content, documentaries that we have produced in 2022. One of it is the 2022 Civic Space Outlook, powered by Spaces for Change, Civic Space Resource Hub, Ford Foundation, and the West African Civil Society Institute. So this is a documentary that talks about the civic space in 2022. And as you can see what is happening in the civic space right now, there's one thing that Victoria Ibezim-Ohairi said in that particular documentary. She said, if you're going to have something against somebody, whether it's a political candidate or whether it be anybody in politics, you better make sure that your facts are accurate. Don't just put some information up high in the sky. Don't be spreading misinformation and disinformation, because it will do you, your brand, and your message a disservice. Okay, so this is how you absorb some of the shocks of the attacks against the civic space, which is making it shrink. As you all know, Nigeria's civic space has been downgraded from obstructed to repressed. What we do not want to do is make it go downward from repressed to closed. So let's make sure that doesn't happen. Please watch the documentary. Go on Spaces for Change YouTube page to find that information. And drum rolling, untold impact. Okay, the role of civil society in development. We're going to be having a screening, a pre-screening of the documentary in January of 2023, okay, as we're going into the election cycle, because we want to make sure that we as civil society get in front of people who are going into office, going into the 10th National Assembly, going into the next executive arm of our government, to make sure that they work with civil society and make sure we expand the civic space and make sure that it is open, and we upgrade the current civic space. And we need to be more proactive about that process. This documentary will be an advocacy tool. It will be a tool that civil society organizations can use, because it has multiple episodes. It has the critical role of civil society. It has education. It has youth. It has women, health, persons with disabilities, and women. So it's a multi-episode documentary series that you can use for your organization and for the public to understand the critical role of civil society, and making sure that civil society, which is nonprofits, social enterprises, student unions, labor unions, professional organizations, that we have the power with the self-determination to make our country better. Okay, so I'm very, very excited about it. I have interviewed over 30 of the most brilliant development practitioners in the country, in the continent, to talk about their critical role of civil society. So stay tuned. January, it's coming up real soon, okay? So now I'm going to introduce our current guest. She doesn't know this, but she's kind of like a mentor to me in terms of what she's doing in organizational development, what she's doing in the sector as we know it, making sure, she's, to get people out of poverty. I feel like her tagline is so powerful, which is poverty alleviation, through, really empowering civil society organizations for self-determination through fundraising, organizational development, and what have you. So I'm very excited about this guest, which is Mrs. Chidi Koldsweat, who is the lead strategist and the CEO of Donors for Africa Foundation. I'm just really excited about this conversation. We are going to be talking about NGO resilience, okay? This is a very important conversation, because this is what forward-thinking practitioners are thinking about. How can I have self-determination? How can I address donor fatigue? And we are going to be having this conversation, and she's going to have some of those answers for you. So what I'm going to do right now is play her video bio, and then we're going to get started, okay? All right. Is the founder, lead strategist of Donors for Africa Foundation, a grant management organization working actively with governments, funding institutions, the private sector, philanthropy organizations, NGOs, and social impact leaders to break the cycles of poverty. With over 12 years of experience in the development space, working across sectors such as health, gender, women and girls in leadership, business and politics, organizational management, and sustainability strategy, she currently is pursuing a leadership certificate in international organizational management from the University of Geneva, Switzerland, and earned a master's degree in public administration and international affairs from the University of Lagos, Nigeria. Chidi has received several awards and recognitions, including flying the Nigerian flag at the launch of the Arab African Youth Platform in 2019, pitched her organization's work at the World Bank Youth Summit. In 2014, CEO Global gave Chidi an award as a finalist, Africa's most influential woman in management, business, and public service in the civil society category. Allow me to introduce to some and present to others Chidi Koldsweat, the founder, lead strategist, and CEO of Donors for Africa Foundation. Hello, 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 hello. Good to see you. Hi, how are you?
Very well. Thank you so much, Afua, for the kind introductions. It's an honor to be here, and you're doing such an amazing work as well, I must say. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much because I know you're extremely busy, so I appreciate your time. So we are just going to get started. Now, you could be doing anything. What made you decide to aid NGOs in fundraising?
Thank you so much, Afua. So I always like to say that fundraising is like a tiny bit of the work we do in total. But I decided to go into capacity building because I observed it was a major gap or major, it was a huge gap that I had noticed when I first started my career in development. Um, we would deploy projects in certain communities and we would work with some indigenous groups or local partners. And you would come back towards the end of your project and you cannot find these organizations anymore. Now, they did not disappear because they were maybe lacking integrity or any of that. They disappeared because they encountered a difficult situation and they could not get out of it. And so they probably thought that the best thing.
Okay. Looks like we're having a bit of a network challenge. So she should be on shortly. I think there's a bit of a network challenge. You know how things are here in Nigeria and technology. So let's see. Let's see. I think she should be on shortly. Just a minute. Let me see. Okay, let me try and remove her and then maybe just see. She's still on. Okay. So it looks like there's a bit of a network challenge, but she should be on shortly. Let me see something right quick. Let me try and get in touch with her and see. Okay, there she is. There she is. There you are. No, it wasn't it was network. Yeah, you said that when the organizations would come back, they will not be in existence because
Yes.
you were talking along those
So
lines.
by the time they are done sharing their reasons why they had to pack up, in my head I'm like, but you could have just done ABC. Sadly, they didn't have that information. They didn't know that that's what they could have done. And there's something I always like to call the rise and fall of nonprofits. 1 minute you're here and next minute you're no longer in existence. So I understood that if people knew where to look for certain information, if people knew how to do certain things. Then we don't have to be worried about how, would nonprofits be around in the next 5 years or in the next 7 years. And that's how we decided that we would love to bridge that gap and make capacity building or access to information a lot more accessible. So fundraising was just one of the numerous things that ended up happening as a result of that.
Okay, I think I think usually when you want to go into fundraising, it's like by the time are you ready for the funds in the first place, and then you kind of
Yeah.
have to backtrack.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about the Donors for Africa Foundation story. How did it evolve to become the authority that it is today?
Sorry, I always pause when I have to answer that question because it's just been a roller coaster ride. But I think one of the things I always like to reiterate is the importance of being clear about exactly what you wanted to achieve or what you want to achieve when you set out. Because it will be a lot of distractions, there will be a lot of nice to haves, there'll be a lot of, oh, let's do this, oh, let's do that. But as you progress, you just quietly begin to take out what's not necessary. So for us at DFA, I mean, we focus on three things: knowledge, growth, impact. Because I really think that's the trajectory of any nonprofit: knowledge, growth, impact. If you have enough knowledge, then you'll be able to make sufficient impact. If you can't make sufficient impact, and then you can only, or rather, you begin to grow as a result of the knowledge you have, and then you begin to make impact. Now, knowledge took diverse forms for us, right? I mean, there was educational knowledge, there was stakeholder engagement, there was non-profit training knowledge, there was public information. It was in fact, there was even knowledge shared from experts from the field. It was such a robust kickoff. But I know that one thing that stuck for us was we knew that we wanted to make knowledge accessible to non-profit founders. As a result of that knowledge, we want to be able to um, quantify the level of impact or the depth of impact that they have achieved over the years. And with that, we knew that growth was inevitable. We knew that replicating that growth would become inevitable, thereby causing or ensuring that sustainability is also sacrosanct, like it's a constant, because you can't do all these things and not be sustainable eventually. And that was why we just decided that, look, you know what, let's just, the DFA story is simple: knowledge, growth, impact. That's what we focus on. When you find us doing anything around these things that are not connected to knowledge, growth, impact, just know that it's probably a nice to have for a short season, but that's pretty much what it is. And again, let me also touch on this. There's always a tendency for your vision to continue to evolve as you work on the vision, because it's expanding, you're seeing more problems, you're seeing more challenges. For us, we've just ensured that any of those problems or challenges that we see must focus on those three core areas, and then we leave the rest for so many other people to do and just co-create with them and just help them achieve those things, but stay focused on the goal. That's really the end secret at the end of the day.
Nice. That's a really good one in terms of just your focus. That's really good because, like you said, it's so easy to just look at the next thing coming up. So that's so now, what do you think non-profits need to stay resilient? What are based on your experience, what are some of the factors that you look at?
Clarity, that's what I have found to be the biggest difficulties for even a lot of established nonprofits. Um, you find that people are not certain about what they want to do. So they hear that there is money in docu-series or development series, or they jump into it. Then they hear that, oh, no, it's actually capacity building where all the money is. Oh, everybody's jumping into capacity building. And with that comes with a lot of brand misrepresentation. Nobody knows who exactly you are. I tell people that prior to DFA, I'm really good at a lot of things. I can design your website, I can write a company profile, I can prepare your resume. There's so much that I can do. There's so much I've been doing, on the sidelines. But I didn't want any of those things to define me. I wanted, when you think about nonprofit and development in Africa, my name must come to mind. If you have not mentioned my name, it's either you are not happy about the brand or you don't know me. It has to be one or the other. And that's what we kept it focused on. So, but for a lot of nonprofit, what I have found is that there's a lack of clarity. And with a lack of clarity, you keep going like this because one minute you're hot, the next minute you're cold, the next minute you won't even know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, how can you be resilient at anything? The second thing I have also found out is the inability, I don't want to say to do what's right, but the inability to put in the required structure. So let's level that and let's have honest conversations. Some people are into this for the money because they want to be able to come to A4 and A4 will send them a check of 3 million naira. They buy nice cars, live in nice houses. It's an easy way to get some money or to make money. That's the reason for a lot of people running nonprofits, not really to make any tangible difference. A lot of people are even passionate about the travels and the popping up at the events and the show off. For some people, that's their really the core reason to belong to a to be seen, right? And if you're doing that, trust me, it's a matter of time. You know, my boss, my former boss would always say in Abimbola, she said, at the end of the day, the quality of your work will speak for you. We will know who is in this for the long run. So for me, those are two key things that can impact your ability to be resilient. Number one, the lack of clarity. And if I break a lack of clarity into a lot, it's quite a lot. I'm looking at your vision, your mission, your strategic plan. I'm looking at your sustainability plan. I'm looking at your income generating plan. Like it's so whole. And then if I look at the second one, which is why are you even doing what you're doing? Why are you in this business? Why are you here? You know, wrong intention. A lot of people, they're not just ready to put in the work that comes with duty. They think this is leisure, but you and I know that this is hard work because it's not even like a product that you are selling. Where I say, oh, buy hair. When you buy hair, you look beautiful. No, we are trying to tell you, give me money to make a difference. That's a lot of work and a lot of convincing. But hey, I mean, hopefully that impression will begin to fade away slowly, and we'll begin to focus on what is really much more important, which is the impact that we're hoping to generate or make.
That was a very packed response. Very packed response. You said, I think you said you said an entire seminar in like 5 minutes.
Interesting.
That was
I
just
hope
really,
so.
really was very packed. So now we've talked about the resilience of nonprofits. Can you try and make those connections based on your experience in terms of what do donors require? What do they want from nonprofits? In terms of to make sure that it's a mutually beneficial relationship.
Yeah. In summary, a donor is simply looking or searching for an organization that can help them achieve their purpose, vision, and mission. It's not usually the other way around. But if you check the ideology or the idea people have about donor relationship, they think if one has a lot of money, she doesn't know what to do with it. She's looking for who to give money to. But no, if one probably
Mm,
has a set of experiences that has
mm,
molded her, and she has decided, because I've made all this money, I want to be able to maybe reach more children with information or with educational opportunities. So when they put out a call for application, everyone is searching for someone that can help her achieve that vision. That's what donors want. But we see, many people sit here and they think, there's $5 billion, let us apply. Because in their mind, it is for them. So the very first thing I always tell potential partners or non-profits that we work with is that the most, I know people will say the beneficiaries, but the most important factor you should look out for, it's not who has a call for application. It is um, which person's vision best aligns with my organization's vision. So I tell people the same way a donor has the flexibility to find a nonprofit to work with, It's the same way I have the flexibility to decide if I want to take your money. But again, it goes back to the same conversation we had earlier on purpose. If your money, like I've heard all sorts of horror stories, like if I don't want to start, like a lot of horror stories. And by the time I let them vent and cry and wail, I ask a simple question: why did you accept these people's money? They had told you they would require XYZ information from you. You said yes. They had told you that you would need to send them your account balance to do XYZ. You said yes. They had shown you what they wanted from you. You need to give them information of 20,000 children in Africa. You said yes. Now you took the money. And now you are crying because you feel like you are stuck and you can't get out of a tight situation. And I'm like, your intention for going into that funding relationship already was distorted. But if I'm coming from the position of alignment of vision, even if Ifwa has $1 billion to give, and she wants to give it in a sector that I have absolutely no business in, rather than me redesigning my programs, retweaking my programs constantly on a clock, why don't I say, oh, look, you know what? Ifwa, this is a fantastic opportunity. I know of 3 organizations that I can recommend for you to work with. People think they've lost money, but no, you did not lose money, because a donor's vision changes. Sometimes a donor can decide 5 years we have done this, now we are moving into this. And you
Exactly.
will still
Yes.
be the donor of choice. So I can't tell people how many times donors come to us to say, Chidi, we want to do this. What are your thoughts? I said, okay, how do you want us to, do you want me to give you friendly advice? Do you want this to be a paid service? Do you want us to go the extra mile to do XYZ for you? Or do you want me to just recommend? I'm clear about why I am having a conversation with the prospective donor. But nonprofits are rushing into funding relationships because they feel there is a lot of money to be made. Let us collect. And then you now begin to wonder why you are blacklisted, and in the future you're running around in circles and nobody wants to give you money. They won't even complain to you. They won't say anything. You will enjoy your $20,000 or $40,000, and then you will realize for the next 3, 4, 5 years, my grant applications are not getting accepted. So I really think that one of the biggest, most important factors for donors is that they are looking for people whose vision aligns with their vision. And I tell nonprofits, you must see yourself as co-creators, people who are
Yes.
co-creating solutions with your donor. If a fund foundation comes, like we have donors that we work with, and we say to them, this is a fantastic template you have, but it cannot work in Nigeria. So if they go, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about, and they get into the field. 3 years, you spent a lot of money, you've not seen any results. But then you come back to the conversation table, and I say, look, we are so unique in this country. I don't know where you generated your template from, but we are extremely unique. So that's why I said that we are co-creators with donors. We should sit with them. Like I have a current donor now. I've sat with the donor and I'm going through. I say, look, oh, this evaluation form will not work. Oh, this is what will work. Oh, let us realign this. And as long as like I would always, as long as it is an aligned vision, you will honestly, you will sit and funding will be coming to you. I can give you a long list of non-profits that are constantly being approached by funders, not the other way around. So I really think donors require people who they can trust, people whose vision aligns with their vision, people who know or understand that they are co-creating solutions. Yes, they must have their standards, but at the end of the day, they want to make a difference. And that's why they are entering the market, and they are in search of organizations that can help them advance that vision. Let me end it here. I don't go into full-blown talk, but honestly, those are some of the things I really think are important to donors. And even for people, of course, like I would say, there's a conversation of structure, there's a conversation, all that can be found in the book. But I just wanted to speak about things that I think either people are pretending not to know about, or they are not having conversations about, which is the fact that you must have a donor whose vision aligns with your vision before you start talking of structure or anything else. So that's one of the things, I would like to touch on.
And I think what you're saying is really something, because that same conversation, I listened to Sheon from Budget when he spoke about it. He said, your vision, you have to be co-creators, otherwise it will not work. And where donors, you want to be in a position where donors are approaching you about working together, not the other way
Absolutely.
around. So
Absolutely.
it's really. You were saying something about a book. Do you have a book that the audience can that you recommend, or something that you've written that you want us to?
Conversation is to till 2023. It's a different type of book I'm writing, but let's see how it goes. I've written a book about 2 years ago, but I don't think
Ah,
I'm ready. So
mm,
no, I don't think it's ready yet. So we're
okay,
just
okay.
keeping it for 2023,
Yeah,
hopefully.
create a waiting list though. We'll sign up, oh,
I
and then
promise.
we'll get a copy and a signed autographed copy, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Uh, no worries. Okay, so let me ask you another question. Since what are some of the thematic areas that attract
Yeah.
funds that are more that you know that will attract funds, especially for those who are thinking about starting nonprofits or those who actually work in those thematic areas and don't know where to look?
Hmm. Okay, so let me also pick your question and answer it, right?
Okay.
See, every thematic area attracts funding, and that's on Mary has a little lamb, honestly. There are
Mm,
seasons in development sector. For right now, one of the biggest conversation is climate change, right? Followed by technology, just because it's another season, right? It has stopped the funding going into several other sectors. But it is what the media highlights that people pay attention to. Let
I
me
see.
surprise you. Do you know there's a lot of money in research? Do you know?
Okay. Yeah.
And there is a lot of money in research. Like, what I mean, there is ridiculous blood money. If you're not Nigerian, blood money means money that rains from your womb. In case you don't get, but it's the
Yes.
truth.
Hmm.
But a lot of nonprofits don't know that. A lot of nonprofits don't even realize that they have sufficient information to start
Yeah.
researching
Exactly.
for
I've told a few
external
about
money.
that. Yeah.
So I don't think it's about thematic areas as much as it is about, again, clarity of purpose. One of the first things I wrote in this my 3-year-old book now, was that you must see if you are not connected to what you're doing, if there is no emotional connection to what you're doing, it's only going to be for a very brief moment in time. Because again, when you notice that it is docu-series that the money is in, you're going to jump up and jump to docu-series. One of the things that will keep you grounded and resilient in what you're pursuing is if there is a genuine passion behind what you're doing. So again, I would say all thematic areas attract funding. If you want to even just be traveling around the world, there's money for traveling around the world. When you hear those people's story, why they travel around the world, you just be laughing. But there are people who are funding trips. You wake up one morning, you backpack to Kilimanjaro, you backpack to here, you document it. People will keep giving you money to backpack. I know of so many ridiculous things that people do to generate an income. But then the important question is it connected to your core or is it connected to your why? Because if it's not connected to your why, you will just keep jumping. And the truth is, you and I know it takes a while to generate impact stories. When we started off at DFA, we knew what we had to do for 2 years at absolutely no cost, just showing up, showing out, long extended sessions, because it was in the third year that we were now able to compound or collate the impact in such a way that people are like, oh my goodness, you guys did all these things. But these things were being done underground when no one was watching. So imagine if you keep hopping from one idea to another idea before it even has an opportunity to evolve, you have jumped into something else. So how would you know what can generate the right result? But like I said earlier on, the more you work on a vision, as you're working on women and girls, the more you keep working on it, you begin to realize I actually prefer just focusing on this aspect of women and girls issue. The more you work on it, the more you be getting ideas. Oh, why don't we fly to the moon? Oh, why don't we do this? Oh, why don't we do that? Those are the things that have a potential to generate inflow. One of the major programs that has been like the core of our programs right now is our leadership capacity or accelerator programs that we design for third sector leaders. This is the fourth cohort in the third year, but so many people don't know that Someone said, oh, Chidi, you should do volume. I know that volumes is difficult for you to track tangible impact with volume. So I wanted to focus on impact. Our first international partner that came on board this project came on board for the sole purpose of impact. So let us say I had done impact for 2 years and I now decided in the third year that, you know what, let us do volume. Let us onboard 500,000 people. And then it becomes difficult to track. And then maybe you don't know that had been looking at you since as a potential partner will say, they're not doing volume. Let me continue searching for impact. For a donor to tell you we specifically came to you because of impact. So, this is not to say the numbers are bad, but it's just to say whatever you have decided to focus on, be it large numbers, be it small numbers, be it focus groups, be it travel around the world projects, focus on it. It has a tendency to attract the funding you need, because in that sector you will notice the need and you will be equipped to develop the solution that sector needs. As we are here, yes, a lot of people try attempting to replicate what we do. Amazing to me. One person cannot solve the whole problem of 200 million Nigerians. So I am excited. But the truth is, we are evolving per second because there is a specific focus. And until that becomes a reality, in fact, when we achieve that, everything else may disappear and we'll focus on that. So the most important thing is to identify your niche area. Focus on your niche area, you will generate the income you're looking for. Sorry to keep talking, but let me speak to last one example. One of our social innovators, she focuses on getting people out of the prison. So she focuses on people who got into prison because they stole a fowl and they'll be there for 5 years.
What?
People who got into prison, do you understand? Someone is in prison for 5 years because he stole a fowl and he's been awaiting trial for 5 years.
What?
His life thrown out of the window. So she does is that she goes around the prisons and she sets up rehabilitation programs and she identifies people with such cases, right? And what she does is to now attempt to use the law to get them out of prison. That is all she does for a living. Now, guess what? Few weeks ago, she went live for the first time on Instagram rather, but she posted a copy of her the flyer on LinkedIn. Now, someone random that she had never met in her life said, interestingly, what you're doing right now is my PhD thesis. You don't want to hear the amount of access that email has brought to her organization. Access, funding, materials, everything that they are needing to do their work. So let us assume this person in question decided that maybe getting people out of prison, there's nothing passionate about it. Let me go and do this. It's an opportunity that she would never have experienced. So thematic area funding, every area will generate fund. The most important thing is how is your solution how is your solution the solution required to solve that problem? That's what you should now focus the bulk of your attention on. Again, I'm a teacher, so please, when you ask me questions, I will just be teaching and teaching and teaching. You have to forgive me.
This is no. This is it's like when you're preaching to the choir, you're just you're just nodding. It's just really, really interesting what you're really saying, and I feel like you're also encouraging me as well because of this development sector series I've been doing. It's just been it started in 2020. In 2020 during the COVID. I was putting out a lot of organizational development type stuff, corporate governance, programming, theory of change, and what have you. And then the idea just came up. My friend and I, Dr. Chidi Akpan, we were talking, and she said, "Effa, you should interview other practitioners. You're passionate about what practitioners are doing all over the country, all over the continent. Why don't you interview them live?" And then that's kind of how it started. And then 2 years later, we're still on it. And, so sometimes it gets discouraging, but what keeps me going is like each interview energizes me for the next. Because when I listen to people like you speak and I'm just energized, I'm like, this is what I'm looking for, the secret sauce, why they
Yeah.
do what they do, their why, the passion behind their work. It energizes me for the next week. And we're just doing it, and we want to be able to evolve it into, some sort of TV show, some sort of
Things.
podcast.
Absolutely.
So just to evolve
Absolutely.
it because I want the public to understand what we do, because I don't feel like we tell our
Exactly.
stories well enough. Because
Exactly.
as you already know, donors want you to just do the work and move on. When you say, oh, we want to, here's the marketing budget, we want to really tell people what we do, say, that's not what we
Yeah.
paid you for. Let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't get a chance to do that. So I want to be
Yeah.
that person to be able to do that with civil society
Absolutely.
organizations. So this, I feel like you just encouraged me, like you're the fuel for the next week.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we keep going.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So again, thank you so much. So this is the question that I'm going to ask before questions from the audience. So those of you on the audience, you have any questions for Chidi Koldsweat? This is a really, I'm going to chop this up. Some of it is going to be on YouTube, honey, because you said some stuff that is really, man, it's like you didn't give us milk, you gave us meat. This was really some really good information. So now this is another question that I have for you. How are NGOs able to overcome donor fatigue? And before you answer that question, I was talking to, I'm sure you know him, Michael Sumbola from the Lagos Food Bank Initiative. He was talking about that, he's working on advocacy to try to see how there's more self-determination within civil society organizations in Nigeria, incentivizing and corporate philanthropy, incentivizing corporates to be able to give to nonprofits, to be able to get tax incentives, to be able to, so this encourages them to give. If they are getting those tax breaks, they'll give you money. So, and then that way it helps to absorb some of the shocks of donor fatigue. So these conversations, and I listened to one of your videos on your Facebook page, of Donors for Africa Facebook page, about donor fatigue at the same time as well. So I want you to just give us a sense of how, advise nonprofits all over the continent. How do they overcome this donor fatigue that's already here? How do we do that?
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to use a very simple analogy, right? So that it's easier for people to fit the pieces together. Let's say, when any of us decided that we wanted to settle down, have a family, and all those things, how many of us depended solely on what your friends were going to give to you to enjoy a happy marriage? Question number one. Two, for some of you who live in probably other continents, when you turned 18 and maybe you got your first rent from your parents, right, as support to cushion the effect of just starting out on your own, were they the ones responsible for paying your second rent, third rent, fourth rent, fifth rent, sixth rent? Where am I going to with all this? See, if one, let us come and level up. You and I know a lot of nonprofits are getting into this sector because they think if one has a lot of money to give to me. I've said it before. See, you cannot decide that you want to get married and then you are expecting your landlord to take care of yourself and your children. You must be able to give your wife 500 naira. Ah, my darling, take 500 naira, take $1, take $20. Use it to buy what we would eat this night, right? And then you build from there. That's exactly what nonprofits need to start doing. Nobody's coming to save you. You cannot claim that you have a solution to provide. And that's why a lot of people they see us as jokers.
Yeah.
I found a post on social media one day from a very intelligent person, and she was saying, oh, you have to wait until you're very wealthy before you start a nonprofit. That if you're running a nonprofit now, you are just wasted. There was a way wrote it, and I went under her comments and I educated her. Because the truth remains, you cannot decide that you are selling a product and you don't design a product and offer value and then market that product to people so that they will see the importance of that product and choose to purchase from you. That's the mindset we need to develop in the nonprofit sector. Fund Foundation money comes, oh my God, it's a blessing for me to scale this up. But what is available for them to scale up? And the nonprofits will come to me and they say, we're looking for funds, we want to launch our project. And I said, what have you done in the past? Nothing. We are looking for money to launch. I said, you should be working in maybe O&O, or you should be go and start a business. Go and get a shop in Oja Market and start a business. The first truth I want to establish is that no donor is waiting to just dash you money. And I'm saying it because I almost mentioned the title of the second book, but I'm saying it because we literally started from that point. So I know it is doable. See, start from, first of all, designing a solution that is worthy of investment.
Yes.
See your nonprofit as a business. That is the first place you should start from. Nonprofit with their phone number, you call from that next year, nobody will pick. This year, we got some people who just sent us money out of the blues. And I'm like, okay, where is this money from? And after tracing, we now received an email from them to say that they are enrolling some of their mentees, some of their people from the US into our programs. And they just went to the website, saw the information they needed, and they just, in fact, I would say my team are going to give me the balance of this money, because if they had approached me as an entity, they would have not paid the same fee that was being offered to Nigerians or people locally or things like that. But because the information on the site was the information they need, I guess the crux of what I'm saying is that they didn't need to have an official meeting with us for them to see what they saw, move their students, and credited us. They didn't need to see me. But the truth remains that a lot of nonprofits, we need to put in the work that is required in growing your nonprofits. They are not. To them, it's a charity case. And like I said, that's why people take us for granted, because we sell a, I don't know why I'm taking it personal, but we sell a facade, or we sell this script of come and give me money, come and give me money, come and give me money. Children are dying, come and give me money. There's a limit to how far you can pull on anyone's emotional strings.
Yes.
So the place is, have you created something, first of all, that's worth investing in? How much of your own money, are you not a donor? How much of your own money has gone into what you are building?
I've said it.
You are here now. How much of your personal resources, before you got funding from any of your funders, how much of your personal resources went into what you were doing? But no, we are waiting. That is number one. Number two, yes, I understand that there is a donor fatigue, but I know that there is a donor fatigue is just one side of the conversation, because I still know, before we're not ready for this conversation, I still know people that will say, oh, I and a group of investors, we have over $30 XYZ million, and we're looking to fund some projects in Africa and the Caribbean. And I'm like this, and people are saying that there's no money. No, you have a viable product that is worth funding. People don't have, okay, we are just gisting. Oh yeah, do a sampling, 10 non-profits. Oh yeah, start asking them, do you have an audited account? First question, in fact, the audited account is too far. Do you have an organizational budget? How much is it costing you to run your programs annually? You can count how many people will give you a specific figure or a range. You cannot run a business. I'm deliberately calling nonprofits a business. You cannot run a business if you don't know what it's costing you to run that business. It is a hobby. It is a show. You are a lazy person who has hidden under the umbrella of a non-profit. And you are hoping that as you are posting along, somebody will be funding your excesses. You are a joker. I'm sorry. There is no personal beef here. I am just telling you what I have seen and I have experienced. If you find those non-profits that have paid their price, I will use one as an example. Mama Money, go and ask Nkem. Started from Facebook. Facebook. To post the pictures of the women in her community. But where is Nkem today? People are giving you money. You are sitting there and they are inviting you that they have been shortlisted because people reward hard work. But no, we are looking for who we just come and give you 5 million to take care of children. Do you want me to talk about our entitlement mentality? I'm still answering your question how our non-profits are able to overcome the non-fatigue.
No, you're
do you want me to
answering.
talk about the entitlement mentality that comes with non-profits? I work with a lot of them. If nothing else, we have trained over 3,000, so I have seen all sorts. Do you want to talk about the entitlement mentality? Where a non-profit will gather courage, your own money, they will sit you down and tell you that the money you are giving them is too small.
What?
No problem. What is the evidence of the small money? What has the small money generated?
Yeah.
And then that's when the talk and this story starts. You did not hire staff. You don't have an office. No marketing plan. No operational budget. What exactly did you use the small money to do? So that's why I tell non-profits. First question I always ask them, how much of your money has gone into this non-profit? Tell me. Aside from CAC registration, if you didn't collect it from family and friends. So I needed to establish that ground so that we understand that there is money in the system. And I kid you not, because I know the sort of conversations I've had with potential investors, potential partners. And in my head, I'm like, Aisha will not just go open an NGO and give the NGO name and just start telling you, oh, women education, come and fund it. I know I'm going to get money for women education. All I'm saying is, there are investors, there are people, but do we have sufficient credible third sector organizations or non-profits that have the right products? Go and search for grantees who donors have invested in. And in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, in fact, the donors are still giving them more money. I was at Act Foundation event sometime this year, and they gave one of their grantees XYZ amount of money for the work that they have been doing. Was that person singled out to be funded a second time? I know of so many non-profits. A donor keeps coming back to them every year. I have a non-profit in my inner circle. First amount of money she raised, $300,000. From there, $700,000. As I'm speaking to you, she was invited to come and be a part of a $1 million fund. So look, the question remains: what viable product are you offering to anybody to make them interested in what you are doing? I'm joking. Go and get a job. Don't waste your youth. It's your young age. I'm being very honest. Don't waste your young age. You are beautiful, you are intelligent, you're smart. A tech company, get a job. So you are earning money. You need it with all your heart, and you know that this is how you earn money. Don't set up a non-profit because you think it's an escape route for poverty. So let me use it so that I can be telling people to give me money. Come on. If CAC should decide to publish all the non-profits that have been registered, counting how many of them pay annual returns, how many of them even come back to CSC 1 year later. That is when you know that they should just see it. They should just shut down. They should just shut down a lot of non-profits like this. Just shut it down. I'm being honest. Because they are the ones that taint the hard work of people who are truly making an impact.
Exactly.
And that is the simple truth. Because I cannot tell you that there are no non-profits that are doing hard work. I can give you list upon list in different African countries. People that are doing phenomenal work. They've been driving this thing. They will tell you, Chidi, I don't even need a lot of money. I just need 500K. With 500K, you will see for yourself what they would achieve. So is there truly a donor fatigue in the system? Or is there a decline in the interest of the existing donors? And is it that they are not funding? Because this is what they say to us every single time. And this is why we are the part of the solution we're going to announce in the first quarter of next year. It was born out of this reality. It was born. People have led non-profits for 18 years, 20 years. They've been doing the work. just a little amount of money can go. Look at, I keep coming back to Bukola because I saw how she went from 0 to something. I saw it with my 2 eyes. I saw it. How she went from using her personal resources to be teaching women how to cook soup in communities, so that at least when a woman knows how to cook, you can be supplying maybe people, be cooking at weddings. It's an easy way to generate info because people will always eat. So being a part of a $1 million fund, come on, that takes a lot of hard work. So the first question is, do we have the viable nonprofits who are genuinely doing the work? If we do, then let us now begin to question what is the manner of approach, what is the system or the structure in place that is facilitating that process? Are they putting themselves out there? Or I will do my work, my reward is in heaven. How are you engaging? Do you have a digital space? There's a particular nonprofit I've been telling him, I said, look, emotions are great. Yes, you are a person living with disability. Emotions are great, but emotions can only take you this far. How are you beginning to contribute to the intellectual knowledge of that issue? How am I
Exactly.
beginning to say, okay, government, or you need to move from doing this to how am I making myself an authority in that conversation? So that I'm not just seen as someone who is maybe doing educational work. I'm now being seen as someone that should be invited to the table to design solutions or create, like we always.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Many of us are comfortable in just receiving the little grants. Many of us don't want to hire the thing that we need. And look at, I hear business, and that's one of the things that inspire me. I look at, how did a small business go from just being a business to becoming a global force, a Fortune 500 company or whatever? I read all these stories a lot, and you see that they had a product that they were selling, and they kept refining that product, and they kept going through the rigors until it got to a point.
Oh, this network.
Where sorry, we don't know how much and we don't know how much it's costing us to run our programs. We don't know. 1 minute. I had switched to my
You guys,
calls keep coming in. So
okay.
please be on
Especially when you're
the.
using your phone's
I've sent
Wi-Fi.
them a message. Yes, I've sent them a message that I'm in
Okay.
they should have this conversation later. I'm so sorry, everyone. Please bear with me.
No worries. Wow.
And my message isn't even delivering to the person, so I should be expecting the person to send me another message again soon or try calling me.
Okay.
Anyway, maybe it was required to end the rant. So,
No. This was really good because sometimes we need to hear this. You get what I'm saying? Because when you keep saying the same thing, you know what I mean. And then the part where you talked about the CAC, and that's why they talked about the NGO bill, and then EFCC too is coming to get in on the conversation. In fact, I was supposed to be in a they are supposed to we're supposed to go over a risk assessment in Abuja with EFCC on the FATF, whether or not NGOs are vulnerable to money laundering and terrorism financing and all that stuff, and saying Nigeria has not been audited or what have you. So that's what EFCC is trying to do. But everybody is looking into the NGO space because obviously a lot of malfeasance is happening. A lot of them are being registered. They are not really doing much of anything, so there's a lot of that going on. But like you said, there are a couple of them that are doing such great work.
no, a
So it's
lot
just a
of
case of
them,
a lot of them are doing they're doing such
a
great work.
lot of
So
them, a lot of them. And that's where questions like, how am I amplifying the work that I'm doing? How am I telling my story? Which is why I love what you're doing, right? How are you telling, for example, one of the things we started about 3 years ago was the African Women in Development Awards that we started. Why did we start that particular award? It was simple. I was doing a research, I was conducting a research, and I just suddenly realized I can't find like like I cannot find a list of women in development. I couldn't find. You and I know that we are plenty.
Plenty.
Couldn't find.
Hmm.
Find. I could say one here, two here, three here, you go to LinkedIn, you search, but I could not come to a resource page and find women doing phenomenal work in development. That's how African Women in Development started. And we started putting out call for application, nominate a woman you know. And when the entries started coming in from across Africa, I'm like, oh my goodness. So we have all these people. We have all these people, but where are they? They are hiding in their little corner. And
Mm-hmm.
why I love one of these this particular award that we are involved in is because it has nothing to do with whether you're the founder of a vision or not. No, we identify even people who work within a team. You can be a program officer
Mm.
because people don't realize that hey, this is our work. It's not the CEO.
So most
There
times
is the
it's not.
role of your program officer. There is a role of a development accountant.
Mm-hmm.
But these people get missing. They get missing in the conversation because, like I said, it is like deploy, deploy, deploy. Next phase, deploy, deploy, deploy. And I'm like, when do you even catch your breath? And I tell the
Yeah.
nonprofits in our community, I said, look, you should include it in your calendar for the year. Like a DFA, June, July, they're not available. I don't care how much is on the table. Once a week in a quarter, we go on a mental health break in my office because I know the sort of work that we are involved in. I know how my team work. So that we shut down. We will tell you if you don't respond to the email, we're not available next week. Send us email from that next week. You cannot even access your emails because we've shut it down so that people
Mm.
can catch their breath. And I'm saying it because non-profits, we are always in a state of motion.
Yes.
We don't find time to stop in the 6 months in the year to collect the impact or the results generated from January till, let's say, is it April now, right? April or May. We don't do that. We just keep going this endless circle. And then people forget that impact is the currency you use to transact in the nonprofit space. So by the time I say, what is the impact? Even you yourself, you cannot track it because somewhere in you being giving, you serving, and you doing all this with the whole of your heart, you have lost track of the impacts that you have made over the years. And then, how do you want a donor to believe? It's only in Nigeria that we are yet to get into the science of things. For me,
Yes.
in other countries, there is a science. It is not an intuition. No, there is a science that shows that this process, if repeated over time, is the best approach to this problem. We've not even gotten to that point. We are still doing passion, intuition, her life, mama can now eat. And I always try to establish that there's a difference between philanthropic giving, organizational management. It's
Yes.
different.
Yeah.
Philanthropy is different. You can go and enter community, give food. Those are philanthropic activities. Don't confuse it with non-profit work. Hey God, I wish I
Mm-mm.
can shake quantum. Confuse it with non-profit work. It is philanthropy. It is
Mm-hmm.
not non-profit management.
It's not.
If you run a non-profit and you cannot go from deploying your solution or rather designing your solution
You
to
have to
generating a
design
result,
it.
shut down
Yes. You have to shut down and
or
just
change
go
your
back.
name to Ngozi and Sons SIB, not even SIB. Ngozi and Sons, there's a charity organization. So that all you do is charity. You come,
Mm-hmm.
please give us clothes. We'll give you clothes. You go to the village, you share for people, take pictures. You are happy. God will bless you. But that is not non-profit management.
Mm-mm. It's not.
Non-profit management is a set of process, and that's where the biggest mistake also comes from. Because
Yeah.
when you don't understand that, then you begin to look for results from non-profit management in charity work, and of course, there's a
Exactly.
distortion.
Yeah.
So the only way, let me not say the only way, one of the major ways a lot of nonprofits, guys, sorry, I know we've talked about a lot, but one of the major
No.
ways nonprofits can overcome donor fatigue is number one, be clear about what you do. Number one. Number two, develop the right systems and structures. Oh my goodness. 1 minute.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Taiwo, please go and bring my charger. It's in the room downstairs. Sorry.
No problem.
Develop the right be clear about what you're doing. Are you doing charity? Are you doing philanthropy? Are you doing non-profit management? Number two, develop the structure required to build a sustainable organization. And if you check any business that have ever existed and succeeded, you must have team members. You cannot do it alone. You must have team members that are supporting the vision. You must have accountability, which is a strong board, not a board made up of family and friends, a board where you actually meet to have conversations and they tell you scrap it is not working, and you take it with joy in your heart and you go and scrap because truly it's not working. Go and get that type of board, a board that will tell you the truth, a board that will not come and sugarcoat anything because you are their bestie. No, go and get an independent board that would help you generate the results that you need to generate. I'm sorry, my laptop is about to go off. Hold it here,
No
please.
problem. Oh boy, they just took light on my end. They will soon turn on the gen. It's just luckily the UBS is on.
I'm so sorry. I hope all this wasn't entering because I muted from my end, but I don't know. I hope it wasn't.
No, it entered, and I started saying my own. So we'll edit
part?
it. Don't worry.
Sorry.
So, but
So that's it. Yeah.
This is some really, you've really given us a lot to work with. And if once the organization, because with yours there are some, like my dev sector series, some I'm able to share with my email list, some I'm not able to, but I share this with my email list, and I'm going to reshare it because if they want to be sustainable, they need to listen to what you're saying. You have said a lot already. Knowing what you need to, knowing who you are, knowing what you're supposed to do. And I think when people are doing all these charity organizations, is not creating some kind of log frame or theory of, if you don't have a theory of change, what are you doing? What are you doing? You don't know anything.
And that's why, so sorry to cut in, but that's why when people also say things like, I should be an NGO, okay, sorry, if you're not Nigerian, it means, oh, are you an NGO? So you're an NGO or you're a non-profit? Why are you taking pictures of the work that you're doing? That's why people make such emotional comments. Because the truth is, like I said, impact is the currency with which you use to transact.
That's the currency, yes.
It's a currency. You can't, there are no, like that's the currency.
Sorry.
So you can't say you want to make a difference and then what is the evidence to show that your solution works? It's not sustainable.
It's really something.
To overcome donor fatigue, you must understand what you're doing. You must build systems and structures in place. You must evaluate your programs and activities. Many of us are launching activities. We're not launching programs. We are just doing activity. Hey, show up here. Hey, show up here. It is not connected to anything that we're supposed to be doing. You need to launch programs, don't launch activities. I tell people, even if it's only one program you have, generate so much result with that one program that it cannot be denied, that the efficacy of that one program cannot be denied. But people think it's in having multiple programs. You can have multiple activities embedded in your program.
Exactly.
Activities. It is one program, maybe development sector series, but there are several activities connected to this one program. So by the time I am giving you feedback from top to bottom or from beginning to end, you can see how it is all connected. You can see how it is all connected. So those are some of the things I think, you need to consider if you're really looking to build something that is worthy of funding. And then you also need to actively engage potential donors. And what it means is you need to develop the right relationship. Sometimes okay, for example, one of the realities that have come out of the communities that we've developed at DFA is that somebody can access big money, huge amount of money, and they are looking for other nonprofits to help them deploy this to help them deploy these solutions. Many of our nonprofits have accessed financing for such routes. If one has money, she can't do it. Okay, are we back?
Yeah, we're back. We're back.
Where did you stop hearing me?
No, you said if like so if I have money but I don't have enough capacity to implement it, so you
And
will need
find
others.
implementers. I
Mm-hmm.
find implementers within the DFA community, and that money is moving around within the system. So let's not underplay the importance of relationships. Many of us are not the big nonprofits that have like okay, we don't have like global funders. So let's not underplay the importance of building connections and building relationships. Don't work in a silo. That's my next big battle I want to fight in our sector. Stop working in silos. Nothing irritates me more than me looking at another. No, you can't do this with this person. And no, you want to do it all alone. Instead of you to leverage the expertise of someone else to get your. In fact, it is less stress.
It's
But
less
instead, you want to
stressful.
carry on the burden. So let's learn to stop working in silos. I believe strongly in the power of many. Like I really think that's the biggest way to fight poverty in Africa. The power of many, collaborations, cross collaborations across sectors, across interests, introduce people. I can't tell you how many times I've introduced somebody to somebody. Someone said, but Chidi, can't you really do this venture capital? I said, no, I don't like mass. I cannot do venture capital. So do you want me to now go and start? Let me go and now develop go back to one maybe Waffen school of something. I'm going to start learning it when I am not interested in it. Meanwhile, there's somebody right there who has been doing it for years and she has been doing it well. Just did the introductions. And that's it. I said you have to trust that the person I'm introducing you to, she's great at what she does. But you find people, yes, we will do it, we will do it, we will do it. And then
Mm-hmm.
you go off and you make a mess of it. And then that
Mm-hmm.
opportunity closes in the future. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying that before you scream donor fatigue, first start by evaluating your processes internally. Do you have what it takes? If somebody comes and give you $100,000, small money, but what can you do with it? Like, do you have capacity to deploy $100,000 worth of funds? And then when I look at your inflow and outflow for the past 3 years, it's not even up to $10,000. Come on. So
Exactly.
do you really have what it takes? Do you
Mm.
have what it takes? So I guess this donor fatigue is a debate because it's from both sides. But I do know that there's money in the sector. I do know that every day businesses are looking for where to put money into, and not in a bad way. Like they're looking for where to invest. They're looking to fund Africa. They're looking to fund projects. They're looking to make a difference every day. Every day, I have businesses who call us to say, please, oh, if you know any NGO that works in XYZ area, let us know. And we do the connection, the connections. Okay, look at them, oh, you can trust them, they are trustworthy, and that nonprofit has been receiving funding. This is how many years in a row. So there is funding in the sector, but the question remains that do you have the viable products for either an impact investor or a donor to put money into? Do you even know the type of funds that you need? This donor that you are hiring. Do you know there are different types of funding available? There's crowdfunding, there's private sector funding, there's bidding for contracts and things, there is income revenue generation from products and services. There are all types of funding. What do you need? Which type are you looking for? Because when you know what you're looking for, then you now know where to go to and what to offer so that you can get that type of funding. What you offer an MTN or what you offer a Shell is not what you come and offer an ACT Foundation or a whatever massive foundation is out there, because they're looking for two different things. One is looking for visibility, one is looking for impact. So whatever this person is looking for, I have to go and sell them what they want rather than go and I'm trying to force impact down the throat of someone that is just looking to have their billboard in 15 different countries. And I'm trying to force them, I'm making a difference. Oh, women and girls, we're just looking at you like, it's okay. And that's it. And then, no, they have to have the conversation. I mean, so that you can You can ask
No,
other questions, please.
no, no, yeah. In fact, I'm going to be having fun editing this conversation. I'm going to have so much fun doing it because you've said so. In fact, you have done like a 3-day seminar in this one conversation. Honestly, you have no idea. I mean, you've said so much, and I think, like they say, he who has an ear, let him or her hear what
Yeah.
you are saying, and based on everything you have said is know who you are, know what you have to offer, be the best at what you do, and the donors will come running. That's pretty much what I've heard. That yes, there is donor fatigue going on. However, if you position yourself to
Well,
really position yourself well, like you said, to really know what you're doing, to be transparent, to be accountable, have the systems in place, and have a viable
it's a
product.
matter of time. It's a matter of time.
Exactly, they'll
A matter
come
of
running.
time. Yeah.
So again, thank you so much. Just stick around. I'm going to go offline. I'm going to go off
Awesome.
live, and then we'll have like an offline
Okay.
conversation. Thank you
Sure.
so much, Chidi,
Mhm.
for being on the
Thank
program,
you for
and
having me.
really, really appreciate you so much.
Thank
And
you.
this is not going to be the last time I'll come and disturb you to come out here and talk to my people, because this is really, really great information. All right, guys,
Thank
take
you.
care. Thank you again for
Bye.
watching the development sector series, which is Dev Sector Series.
Thank you.
Please make sure you like and share so that the algorithm becomes my friend, and then people like you will watch the video podcast. Again, thank you so much, and let's change the world together. Bye.
Bye.